All right, Alder Creek. This is Mr. Richardson, and today we're going to be talking about a standard response protocol. This is for students and teachers and all of staff to make sure that we are remaining safe at Alder Creek. So student safety is very important at Alder Creek, and so twice a year we'll do a drill to remind students about the different safety measures we'll have to take in an emergency situation. It's important that we have a shared vocabulary around that. Students, you certainly know who you are, but it's important to identify a couple other key roles. Staff is any adult that is working for North Clackamas School District. So you can often recognize us by our North Clackamas School District ID badge that all teachers and staff members wear at all times. And so if you ever see an adult walking around with that badge, they're an important person to listen to in case of an emergency, as often information goes out through our staff. And then of course there are first responders. So in an emergency situation we may have to rely on police, fire, or paramedics to come and support us. So our standard response protocol, this is a protocol that goes out throughout the nation, and Alder Creek and North Clackamas School District is no different. There are 4 actions in a standard response protocol that we may have to go to, and we'll talk about each of them, but really briefly, there's a lockout, a lockdown, an evacuate, and a shelter. And each of those comes with a very clear and succinct message. So if we're in a lockdown, there's a very clear message. Same thing with a lockout or an evacuate or a shelter. So you'll hear, in the case of a lockout, you'll hear a very clear message. Lockout, secure the perimeter. And with all of these, we're going to repeat that twice. So you'll hear lockout, secure the perimeter. I repeat, lockout, secure the perimeter, and you'll know what that means. That's when there's a threat outside of school. So take a look.
Lockout deals with a threat outside of the school. A lockout could be the response to a violent person or incident in the community near your school.
So in the case of a lockout, that's not going to be a huge shift to what we're up to. We're going to continue doing business as usual. One of the key shifts will be for anybody that happens to be outside of the building. For example, if it's lunchtime, we're going to have to bring everybody back into the building, into cafeteria, or if it's during PE, your PE class may have to come back into the gym. But other than that, we're going to continue to be in our classrooms and continuing to learn. And so we'll recover students and staff from outside the building, and teachers and administrators will go and lock all the outside doors. We'll make sure that we're kind of increasing our situational awareness, making sure we're aware of what's going on. We'll be taking roll to make sure that we know where all students are, but other than that, we'll be continuing with business as usual.
Lockouts are typically called for by law enforcement officials.
Hi, this is Evan with the Broomfield Police Department.
Or district personnel.
A lockout. Okay, thank you for the information. Bye-bye.
Attention students, we're in lockout, secure the perimeter. Lockout, secure the perimeter.
The goals of a lockout are to get all students and staff inside the building.
Guys, come on in. You need to get inside. Go to the first classroom on the right. Hurry, 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 hurry.
And then lock all exterior doors. In most cases of a lockout, it will be business as usual inside the school. However, in some cases, a lockdown may also be issued in conjunction with a lockout, particularly if the threat is near the school.
So now we're going to talk about a lockdown, which the key term for a lockdown includes locks, lights, out of sight. And this is used when there's a threat inside or imminently close to inside the building. Take a look.
Lockdown deals with an internal school threat and entails locking interior doors, turning off lights, and hiding. An easy way to remember this is locks, lights, out of sight. Since the threat is already inside the building during a lockdown, there's no advantage to locking any unlocked exterior doors. In fact, locking these doors may put staff unnecessarily at risk. This also allows quick and easy access of law enforcement into your building.
So students, it's important to remember to move away from the corridor line of sight and maintain absolute silence. You got to remember, a lockdown is a very serious situation and obviously very rare. So teachers, you want to lock your classroom door, you want to turn your lights out, move away from that line of sight, away from that window or wherever you might be. Maintain silence and make sure you're keeping account of all students that might be missing.
If you are in a classroom when a lockdown is called, the main thing to remember is locks, lights, out of sight. As students gather in a safe area of the room, lock the door and turn off all lights. Have everyone in the room move to a location that is out of sight. Pick an area of the room that can't be seen from interior windows. An actual lockdown may not be resolved for several hours. Here's how you should wait. Stay in the safe location. Don't move around the room. Remain silent. Staff, take written attendance of who is in the room. Note anyone missing and if you have any extra students for staff. If a fire alarm sounds, do not leave your safe location unless you are certain that a fire is threatening your room. If you are forced to evacuate due to a fire, keep in mind that the hall may not be your best escape route. During the initial moments of a school violence situation, the official call for a lockdown may not have occurred or not have been heard by everyone. You need to assess your personal safety. Consider your best option. This may include staying in a classroom behind a locked door, hiding, or evacuating. Self-evacuation, which means exiting the school and leaving the campus, is an option. If you're in a hallway, common area, or near an exterior door, self-evacuation may be your best choice. Once you've arrived at a safe location, you should immediately check in with your parents and the school district to let them know you're safe.
So evacuate is something we're all used to. We practice evacuate all the time for our fire drills. In fact, we're going to be doing one in just a moment. Always remember, move in an orderly fashion. We like to practice these in silence. It helps everybody move more efficiently and quickly. So it's important to leave your things behind. You'll form a single file line. And be prepared to hear other evacuation instructions. And then, as always, go to your typical location unless you're being told to go in a different spot than what you're used to for the fire drill. In rare instances, you may be asked to hold hands. That'll probably be by police or other first responders. But in most cases, we'll practice it just like we do our normal fire drills. You may also be asked to cover your head. And in some cases you may be asked to crawl, and that'll depend on if it's an earthquake or a fire drill or other things. So for students, it's important just to remember to listen carefully for instructions. Teachers, you'll grab your classroom roll sheet as possible. You'll lead students to your normal evacuation spot. You'll take your roll and account for students that may be missing. Once you're in your spot, you'll take roll, and students, you all notice that each time we do a fire drill, teachers will hold up either a red or green sign, and that'll mean that roll has been taken care of and everybody's accounted for. And if everybody isn't accounted for, they hold up a red sign, and we do our best to locate any missing students. They'll also take their roll sheet out there with them so that they can take attendance. And then finally, there's shelter, and this is a very rare situation, especially for us in Oregon. So hazard examples could include an earthquake, or tornado, a hazmat, a fire, or a bomb. Like I said, very rare, but listen very carefully for instructions on this. Sometimes you have to drop, cover, and hold, especially in the case of an earthquake. Sometimes you have to seal the room in case there's a situation where fire and you can't get out. Drop and crawl is important to stay close to the ground, and as always, do so in silence so that you can hear any instructions being given. It's important that you share this information with parents. So students, I'd encourage you to go home and talk to your parents about this. and make sure they know that we're training everybody and keeping everybody safe and prepared for anything that might happen. So remember, there's 4 things: lock out, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. Right now, in just a moment, we're going to move into our first lockout drill. Our first lockdown drill. And once we're done with our lockdown drill, we'll move into our fire drill for the month of December. So hold on tight for the next instructions.